Well, I never thought it would happen, but here we are. The Misfits reunited in the original Misfits tour. I gotta say, so this is something that 14-year-old me would have never imagined possible. I'm still kind of surprised I even witnessed it happen. But some quick thoughts on the show, since there's obviously not that many that took place, and whether we'll even see more anytime soon is kind of in question. But I'll talk about my experiences with everything. So, first point to get out of the way is obviously the ticket prices were outrageously high for a show of this type, but at the same time, it worked. They still sold out, and they still filled up the whole Prudential Center, so they obviously knew exactly what they were doing there. They knew that all of us get older, I'll call us older fans now, would go no matter what and pay whatever prices asked. Just to clarify, I was not in the on the floor level. I was up a little higher than that, so I didn't get the quote-unquote full punk experience there. I know, which is kind of ironic. It's really weird to see that someone would come to a punk show in this day and age and then sit up top. The irony is not lost on me there. But again, we were willing to pay it, and we did it, and that's that. It filled up. They accomplished their mission. I can't say jack about that. It worked out well for them. Next obvious thing to point out is the strangeness of the whole cell phone scenario. Obviously, when you go into the building, they would make you put your cell phone in this thing that looks kind of like almost like a koozie. I think some people turn theirs into it, where you have to keep the phone in there for the entire show unless you go to a designated area where you can pull it out to use your phone. But the point is that it would be nowhere near the actual stage itself. On one hand, it was a little annoying to deal with. I think I probably subconsciously reached for my phone at least 3 or 4 times in between different acts, but obviously couldn't use it because it was sealed up in that weird thing. But on the other hand, I get it. I haven't seen a show where so few people were able to pull out their phone for it in a long time. I used to get real annoyed when I'd be floor level at certain shows, and I'd get a person right in front of me, who would hold up the phone right in front of where I am, where I couldn't even see the show fully because they've got their phone recording the whole damn show. That was always the worst. And being a shorter person, I'm about 5'4", 5'5" that was always a pain to deal with. So that in that sense, I was actually glad to see that nobody really could do that, even though I know for a fact some people still found ways. If you go on YouTube, you will see some other videos there that people posted of the concert with their muffled phone sounds and all. But I wasn't as mad about it as some other people were. It was a little frustrating to deal with, but hey, it was still a better experience without seeing phones all over the place. So I'll actually give them some credit on that one. Kinda sucked, didn't ruin anything for me. Boom. The next obvious elephant in the room to address is, of course, the sound. Whether you're going to care about this or not was probably dependent on where you were in the venue, but there were definitely sound issues going on, especially for about the first half of the show more than the rest. Definitely Danzig's mic, more than anything else. I think I heard that thing make some strange sonic screech noises at least 4 or 5 times, if not more. If you were sitting anywhere from 100 to 200 level up there, you could not make out anything that Danzig was saying almost the entire time. His voice was just so muffled, and I know for a fact that it had to do with him or his mic, one or the other, because every time that Jerry Only spoke, you could completely understand him. There was no question to what he was saying. But every time Danzig was talking, and it wasn't just me, this is everyone around me kept going, what? Every time he talked. And of course, Glenn Danzig's voice is getting more raspy over the years. That's to be expected, though. In fact, I'll lead that into my next point of the whole thing is, some people are going to rant about the way Danzig's voice sounds now. This is not 1983 anymore. Over the years of singing, it's gotten raspier. This was a guy who never really stopped making music after he left the Misfits. He had a very successful career doing Sam Hain and then his solo works, and they've still done great. I've seen Danzig live twice prior to seeing this show, and it was cool because not only was he able to perform his solo stuff well, but he even did some Misfits songs with Doyle. One of the 2 times that I went, and that was wonderful. I thought that was going to be the closest thing I'd ever get to an 80s Misfits experience. It was always one of my biggest regrets never having been able to see them before they split up. But, I mean, I was born in, 1987, so you can only do so much in that regard. In terms of the song choices, there's almost nothing to complain about. They picked all solid hits. Every single song, it was like any of those songs felt like they could have been encores, really. There was no issues with the choices at all. I only wish I could have heard more. In fact, probably the only major regret I had was not being able to hear them play We Are 138. That was a strange omission. That song's been stuck in my head ever since I first heard it. And it's kind of never left, so I was kind of sad to see they didn't do that one. It seemed like another obvious one to throw in, but I mean, everything else, just about anything that was remotely popular that they did in the past, they did it here. Again, from Last Caress to Attitude to Vampira to Who Killed Marilyn. I mean, everything. It's everything just about that you could have ever imagined them playing. That's kind of an advantage with punk music, is you'll usually get a good amount of songs in there in that time frame that you give them. And I mean, this was a show with 4 bands in total, and they still managed to cram all that in, so that was great. Stage setup, beautiful. Absolutely loved the giant evil jack-o'-lanterns and the lit up skulls and of course the projector with all the images that really helped set the mood along with everything else. The whole group is looking great as always. Seeing Jerry only do his interesting little slide across the stage a few times, that was a load of fun. Even just to watch sometimes, I'd say it was worth it just to see them all together again on stage. Going back to again the sound, it was a problem. It was not great. Whoever was in charge of putting that together, I wonder if they were just used to setting this group up in those small clubs like they used to play back in the 80s. This is obviously a very different experience from anybody who saw them in the past, and I wonder how many of those old school fans that did see them in the past actually went to this one to compare. I'd be really interested to hear their thoughts on that, because that was always a missed experience for me. But I could see why this whole thing seemed like kind of a ruse for some people. Would I say it was a waste? No, absolutely not. I mean, just getting to see, again, all of the boys on stage again, that alone was priceless. It's something that, said again, I never thought would happen in my lifetime. So, A+ on that regard. I wish it could have sounded a little better for the higher levels, for us, peons that paid a little less for the ticket price, but it was still worth it. They had good merchandise, not really too overpriced. It was about what you'd expect for these types of shows these days. Is it overpriced for street punk shows? Yeah, of course, but for any other show, no, it's about normal price. I got myself a tour shirt and called it a day. I'd say, yeah, solid showing, absolutely worth it, because if you're a fan of the classic Misfits lineup, you pretty much had no choice but to go and try and see it. Danzig was fine. Raspy voice or not, he was absolutely fine. They all did what they set out to do. I had a good time. My friends had a good time. We all had a good time. It was a good time. But did you go to the show? What did you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember to hit like and subscribe for more music, games, and comic book fun, and any other nerdy thing that I come up with that I want to talk about. I'll talk to you later.